Slightly different today. We've got Rob from Archipel Academy, and he's actually going to be presenting his screen with the details on it. And what I'm going to be doing is picking up any messages and chat and so on. So just be aware, Rob can't see what you're saying. So you can say anything you like about him, or maybe not. But your comments will be especially useful. I'm just going to put it into the present mode now for you, Rob. So please do use the chat. Please tell us in the chat what's happening. And please do use the question box at the bottom as well for questions. I will be relaying those, and we will be finding suitable times and suitable points for asking some questions. Rob, do you just want to introduce yourself first of all? Explain who you are and why you're here today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. Beautiful introduction. I don't have such a voice like you have, but I will give it a shot today. My name is Rob, and I'm the CTO of Archipel Academy. And Archipel Academy is an all-in-one learning platform and facilitating organizations and their employees in their L&D transformations and individual continuous learning journeys.
Awesome.
Um, can I proceed with
Uh,
my presentation?
Absolutely, Rob. Absolutely. So again, like I said, any comments from anybody, please do let us know in the chat and questions and so on. If you don't comment, I'm going to be asking you questions directly, Rob. So there we go. Over
Okay.
to you. Employee development, the day after tomorrow. Really keen as
Yeah,
to how you're addressing this, please.
yes, it's time to kickstart this and supercharging the employees and prepare them for the future, and also thereby preparing the organizations for the future. It's an honor and a pleasure to share my insights, not only because I like to share them, but also it gives me the opportunity to validate to the so-called voice of the market, because everything I will be sharing and I will be telling you is also based on client conversations, potential client conversations, and all the discussions I had with other stakeholders from the whole L&D ecosystem. So I would appreciate if you show some engagement in the chat function, just ask questions, even advice, feedback, etc. Not only for me, but also for the other participants. So thanks in advance. Already introduced myself and Archipel Academy. Um, More on Archipel, small part, we provide a service from three main core beliefs. First is very basic, but very important, that L&D should be accessible for just everybody. Second one, fit for future. We believe L&D is just crucial to become and stay relevant in the future. And third, but certainly not least, is we are strongly convinced of the fact that um, the organizations and companies are the schools and the universities of the future, where we used to finish school and start working but not even use all the acquired skills and knowledge. We are now a full awareness on that's only the starting point, and also organizations have the social responsibility to facilitate the individual employees on that part. And actually, the last part is touching upon the main topics of this webinar. Go from the awareness side on the continuous learning organization, or a so-called DDO, deliberately developmental organization, towards the action mode. And not only the first, the second, or the third step in the action mode to go to the desired state, but also that is an ongoing process. So what I would like to do is first touch upon some theoretical things, and that touches upon some major threats we and our clients and potential clients see or can be foreseen whenever we don't transform ourselves into that continuous learning organization, with also the related risk and the negative impact on an organizational level and an individual level. And from that moment, I want to take a step towards some major developments on the social axis, the technological axis, and also on the sustainability axis. And I want to close the loop to highlight some actionable steps which can be undertaken for facilitating, supporting their transformations and their individual learning journey. Also mentioning two example companies of which we think are doing already a pretty good job on facilitating on that part. So thanks in advance for showing the engagement. Very useful and valuable for all of us. Um, the first question I would like to ask already is, to what extent do you have that your learning strategy is already mature enough, or not even that mature? And also let us and me know why you think that is. What do you feel? What do you hear? What do you see? In the meanwhile, I will show my favorite icebreaker, but also the perfect example on how to not treat employees, also followed up by a quote showing also a perfect example on not how to treat employees within the organization. I
Thanks, Rob.
believe we did
Just
not
let you
have
know.
to.
So just let you know. So
Yeah,
I've asked the question in the chat, and people are beginning
perfect.
to put some response in there. So, how mature is your learning strategy?
Yeah,
Is
thanks.
what I'm asking people. So,
Yeah,
if you can tell us that, and yeah, if you could move on to your icebreaker, Rob, I'd appreciate that.
yeah, I will do that. I will put up my next one. I believe we don't have the sound, but I think it says enough with the subtitles.
Thanks very much. And Jessica has asked on a scale is up to you, Jessica. So I don't think we can put a number on it. It's the how would you describe the maturity of your learning strategy, I think, is what we want to ask. Trying to work out what film this from, Rob.
To be honest, I don't know. And actually, with the sound on, it's of course better. But
Yeah.
okay. I think you will all get it. You all get it.
Yeah.
Not how to treat your people. Also, this quote, I think it's already a familiar one on not how to act and to treat the employees.
Yeah.
I think that it's on the awareness side, the power of repetition. I think.
Excellent. We've got a few responses to you, by the way. So Sam saying the learning strategy still in its infancy. Dirk still not in the supply chain or security maturity level we would like to have. And that in itself means that not having a mature learning strategy. Yana says in a large organization, there are pockets of mature learning, which I think is interesting because we see that it's not evenly distributed, incorporating 70, 20, 10, for example. And I really like the comment from Jessica, which I think is probably very apt and very appropriate. The vision is more mature than the actual strategy in itself. I think that's a very relevant point. And Sophie's just said too focused on mandatory training. And I was having a conversation recently with somebody very, very similar. We focus on the mandatory when actually the vision is what we want to be, but it's not an adopted strategy. So I think that's a great point, Jessica and Sophie. Thank you for those two.
Yeah, thanks. A lot of familiar responses over there, and I think we will touch upon them also later on during this webinar. Please let us know if it's not the case. It can be now during this webinar, but also in one-on-one sessions. That's absolutely fine. Also, to take a step to some theoretical parts, the threats. What can we see of what can be expected when we aren't able to transform ourselves to the fully DDO, the deliberately developmental organization, as we want to be in that desired state. The first threat we see and hear from our clients is unsustainable employability. Without ongoing training and development, employees may not acquire the skills they need to stay relevant in their fields or to take on new responsibilities. This can make it difficult for the company to adapt to changes in the market or to take advantages of new opportunities, and this can result in a couple of things, and those things are actually sort of a no-brainers at first glimpse, but also indirect results. Well, I don't have to tell you all that whenever you are facilitating your employees in the right way, there's a decrease in productivity. For me, the most interesting one, because to me it's all about change in culture and DNA, the difficulty for employees to adapt to change. And that also touches upon one answer I received through you on okay, we have a vision, but the execution mode isn't in line with the vision we have. what you could do is first look at your culture, your DNA. Do you really have the learning culture in place? And it directly relates to change. Change is an ongoing process, and whenever we aren't able to motivate our employees to cope with that change, also the organization on a higher level will suffer from that, with all the indirect results impacted on that part, and to be less competitive, etc., etc. And I do not have to say that whenever you are unproductive, there are financial or decline in revenue, and financial losses may occur, or you can completely be irrelevant and obsolete in the future. The second large theme, for me, this is the most important or most dangerous one as a threat. It's completely on the soft side, and it all has to do with the poor employee morale. Um, well, it is a state of dissatisfaction and unhappiness among the employees, and it is shown by low motivation, engagement, commitment to their work. And there are several signs that can indicate poor employee morale, which is very important to signal at an early stage, because it can be very toxic for your organization. Um, First of all, again, you can see a decreased productivity, of course, a high turnover whenever the poor employee morale is in place. Um, but I want to touch upon especially the negative attitudes part and complaining, because there is where the toxic part really kicks in. If you're asking me, I've been in a lot of transformational projects in not only edtech but also in fintech and regtech. And what you often see in transformations and change environments is that whenever people are starting to become negative on certain improvement projects or change, or even cynical, that really are the signs that the organization or the department or team is becoming a bit toxic. And whenever that goes into the next stage, is also hard to repair that part. So it's always important to signal negative attitudes and complaining, because I think it is really the foundation of um, a bigger risk for the whole organization. And when it occurs, it takes some time to repair that part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The third theme I want to touch upon, especially take out one part, is the high turnover of people. Of course, it all has to do with increased cost, and in a market of difficulty in attracting top talent and new business. This is extremely costly and, of course, difficult to keep up with the pace of also competition, new global developments, technological sustainability, and social. And eventually, when a lot of people are moving out of the business, did harms the reputation of your full organization. And that also takes some time to repair again. So also interconnected with all the other threats also is the high turnover of people here, and it comes at a great cost.
I think that I was just going to say the second point in there is a really interesting one as well, and loss of institutional knowledge, because it's that core knowledge base that exists within organizations, and we lose the people with the 20, 30 years experience, and how is that then retained? And it's a common question that is coming up now.
Exactly, because learning, a hot item in learning and development also is the return on investment, and the effect measurement on the L&D strategies. And whenever you are investing in your people to gain and acquire knowledge or skills, and you don't have the real DNA or L&D DNA or culture in place, and you have the risk people leaving again, there is zero return on investment on the L&D strategy. So you're absolutely right. This is a big threat, and maybe as a result of the high turnover of the people. So thanks. Yeah. The fourth one I want to mention is the lack of innovation. Already mentioned change, ongoing process, and nowadays people or organizations have to continuously evolve and continuously come up with new improvement projects, suggestions, etc. But whenever you don't stimulate your individual employees to also pick up things besides their core jobs and pick up new continuous improvement projects, you are missing the innovation part within the organizations, which is just crucial to keep up with the competition and also to grasp new market opportunities. As a result, makes sense, decreased revenue, and of course also profitability in the longer or maybe the short term already. And an indirect result again is difficulty in attracting and retaining top talent. And so you can see all the threats are also interconnected with each other, which can also lead to an overall bigger threat.
Yeah.
So that's more on the threat part and the theoretical part. I think it's good to be aware of those whenever you are putting also projects on L&D and on the DNA and the culture side in place. And on top of that, we see, of course, major developments already taking place. It's not only of change, it's a change of a full era. And I wanted to touch upon five of the large developments we, of course, already see and already familiar with. One of them is still the digitalization part. The widespread adoption of digital technologies has transformed the way we live, work, interact with each other. And this has created new opportunities and challenges, including the need for employees to continuously upgrade their digital skills. And there's a strong emphasis as a result on it on again continuous learning and creating the culture for that, and to stay relevant in the face of rapid technological advancements. The second major development, of course, also familiar but also worth mentioning again, also in the interconnect part. Globalization and the interconnectedness of the world has made it possible for companies to expand their reach and compete on a global or at least a larger scale. And this has increased the demand for employees with diverse skills and cultural awareness. And you can hear that I'm pretty much emphasizing continuously the cultural and the DNA of a company. Fully being aware of the fact that it's crucial to have that first in place in order to also execute tactical and strategic plans for the future. At least that is mine, where I'm convinced of. The third major development, also touching upon sustainability, is on L&D is sustainability. Not always directly related to HR or directly L&D, but I think it's worth to mention because a lot of people and more people are choosing for companies with a clear purpose, and it all has to do with sustainability or global challenges such as climate change and inequality. And it resulted in a shift in values and priorities in an individual level, but also on the company side. So besides the obliged sustainability awareness because of legislation, there's also a great development on the voluntary shift towards being sustainable and keep up with the pace of these global challenges. And currently still in the awareness stage and finding ways to also motivate the individual employees to go from the awareness part to how can I directly add also value and do the efforts within that company in order to also put my 50 cents in for the sustainability part. Just because it's not always directly related, I wanted to shortly touch upon this important topic. And companies are recognizing the importance of sustainability even more and more, and they're social responsibility directly related, and investing in programs to help employees better understand and contribute to these efforts. Um, no questions or chats
So
for me?
I'm asking people the do you recognize these in your organizations? Some of these themes. I mean, I'm hearing sustainability everywhere at the moment. It seems to be top of the shop in pretty much everyone's conversation. And interestingly, we ran a session earlier this morning and talking about remote work. And again, remote work came up as well. The idea of I'd be interested to hear how you say remote work is impacting on this era change. I love that quote, by the way. It's not a change of era, it's an era of change. Or not an era change, but a change of era. I'm really interested as to the other factors that impact on that. What we have got is a conversation about non-explicit tacit knowledge and institutional knowledge being lost and stuff like that. There's a conversation going on about that. But tell us about remote work. So how's remote work impacting on
Of course,
change of era?
fully charged by the COVID pandemic, and people and companies are still a bit struggling on how to incorporate this in a structured way also for the future. What I want to pinpoint with remote work is this: of course, we all know it's here to stay, but especially the part where the business part is also cross-lining with the private part. What I hear from a lot of clients on the personal level for the employees is that, okay, of course, we will facilitate remote working because my employees can act more on an independent level, but also are more productive, depending on the type of job, of course. But what becomes now at the surface is the struggle with, okay, how to spend or divide time for job activities, and also to find a balance it with private activities. Also, this also counts for me, to be honest. At the moment, I'm sitting somewhere in the Netherlands at my attic, so working from home, because I wanted to have the focus to do this webinar. So the focus is good, but still a bit scared if someone running through that door and asking if I can grab them a drink. My son, for example. So the disbalance between the private life and the business part makes that people are struggling by setting boundaries, and that can be impacting the stress levels of individual persons. And as a result, if whole groups are facing that disbalance, it can come with a cost, and for example, burnouts or maybe quiet quitting, that kind of challenges can also come at the surface for the organization. So I really want to touch upon remote work. Yes, it's here to stay, but please be aware of the fact that sometimes and quite often there's a kind of a disbalance between the private life.
I agree entirely. My son's sitting down in the room with me here, actually waiting for a delivery at the moment. And it's like, because he knows that I'm in the middle of this. And if the delivery turns up, I can't deal with it. He has to deal with it, kind of thing. So absolutely.
Exactly. We will manage it, but it's good to mention because it can result to certain stress and burnout levels at the organizations. At least what our clients gave us. And sorry for this one, because I already know AI is all over the place, especially and also in L&D, but we cannot ignore it. So I just wanted to show you this revolution. And yes, I'm completely convinced of the fact that AI is revolutionizing also the way we teach and learn, and so fully impacting also not only the AR side and L&D side, but all organizations. I think where the complexity is, or the challenge is, okay, how to really insert it or adapt or embrace it towards clients to be effectively using it and without certain binding boundaries, and for example with data privacy, etc. But sorry again, I wanted to mention it. I just can't ignore it, and I just am convinced of the fact that we should embrace and grasp the benefits also in L&D part. The big themes in L&D nowadays: activation and personalization, can be fully positively impacted also by embracing and using in experimenting with artificial intelligence. I can fill a full webinar with AI, and we also have our own webinar on the AI. And I think there's somewhere also a link to a white paper or a blog on AI. So please download, click, etc. But I just wanted to mention it right here.
Yeah, I'll the links, we've got those links in there. A couple of people have noticed actually, Rob, that when the videos are playing, your sound just goes up and down a little bit. So
sorry.
just when the animations are playing, your sound seems to go up and down a little bit. It's a little bit
sorry about
peculiar.
that.
So no, it's one of those things. So I think that's what's probably causing the sound issues, Jana. It's just because, like I say, we're sharing the screen. And just so you know, Rob, there's some really interesting conversation going on. Dirk's saying a company should have a sustainable strategy which motivates employees, not the other way around. Jana's saying there's a large gap in skills and how to manage a hybrid team and career progression. So we're seeing that as well. And Jana's also said that a big theme is trust and trusting your employees to do the work, again, in that remote space as well. Is something interesting. And we have a couple of questions as well, which we'll pick up towards the end as well. So we've got some questions in there. So again, keep your questions coming and please keep your comments coming. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. And with respect to the trust part, it's sometimes hard to only steer on output instead of also on the input for employees. And that's where the trust part also kicks in. So
absolutely.
Thanks. Switching also towards the action mode and the example mode of what can we expect whenever we are going into that mode towards the DDO, the continuous learning organization. Well, maybe some statistics and numbers and real life examples of what has been shown to work best in motivating employees. Well, autonomy and control over work from an Harvard Business Review. Employees who have more autonomy and control over their work, inspired by a good L&D and HR strategy, are showing a 12% increase in job performance, according to Harvard. Another study on recognition and rewards directly related to the HR and the L&D strategy on SHRM, that implementing a recognition and reward programs experienced a 22% increase in employee engagement. An example, Google's peer bonus program allows employees to nominate and award their colleagues for exceptional work, which have been shown to be highly effective motivator for employees. And another study of Deloitte found out that organizations that invest in employee development and training experience show a 26% decrease in staff turnover. So that's quite significant if you're asking me. An example, Amazon employees have the opportunity to work on different projects, teams which help them develop new skills and advance their careers. And that's what I also mean with innovation. Please facilitate your employees also to pick up new projects alongside their core jobs, also to motivate to facilitate them, but also to realize the higher maturity of the overall organization. Maybe a last part on good leadership, very important when you're having a strategy in place. Leadership, a study by Deloitte, 70% lower turnover rates compared to those with poor leadership. Again, fully aware of, try to define poor and good, but we all understand the figures. I know. For example, Patagonia CEO regularly meets with employees to listen to their ideas and concerns, which helps create a culture of trust. Trust kicking in here, and motivation. So that's more on the side when whenever we are able to transform ourselves into the real DDO on that part. Fit for future. Yes.
Very quick, Rob. Have you got a link to the Harvard study? So if we could pick that up,
yeah,
when we do the when we close down at the end, but if we could have that, that would be really useful.
Quite certain that I can find it somewhere internet.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Sorry to stop you. Yeah, please carry on.
No worries. No, I love it. The engagement. Well, I mentioned a core belief of us, our organization also fit for future, and an emphasis on continuous learning, the need to stay relevant in the face of rapid technological advancements and changing job markets is driving the importance of continuous learning. Makes sense. Um, Fully embracing the digital transformation then over there and creating a supporting work environment. So some examples going from the threats and the major developments of not being able to transform towards, hey, what can it be result in if we can switch to the DDO? But question over here is also, how do we get there? What is a DDO and how do we get there? Well, some main characteristics of a deliberately developmental organization on this slide, but maybe also a question to you. What do you think is the real DDO, and how can you compare with your own organization or maybe organizations you know? Are we already doing quite well? What specific topics are we missing? Do we really place the people side and our employees as the most important asset of the companies? Truly, aren't we at that level yet? So please leave some comments.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I'll do is I'll ask the audience here. So you've got 6 bullet points on there. Sorry, 5 bullet points. So prioritize growth, etc., etc. So out of those 5 points, how many out of those 5 do you think that your organisation is doing at the moment? So are you
our own organization or the people in the chat?
Yeah, so for the people in the chat, absolutely. People in the chat, please tell us, out of those 5, how many do you think, out of 5, do you think, are good descriptors of the organizations that you work in? So does your organization, is employee development critical? Could I come to your organization and would you be able to describe how many of those 5? I'm just interested in your comments. So please do let us know in the chat. Just out of 5. How close are you to 5 out of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? I can see that we've got some people typing. Please do just give us a number out of 5. Looking at those, how many do you think?
2.
We have a 2. We have a 4. No, interesting. On a team level, we're ticking those. It's amazing to see what happens and what our output is. But I always think that's an interesting one. Is the L&D team indicative of what's happening across the organization? We've got a 4, we've got a 2, we've got a 3, we've got a 4. We've got a 3 organization-wide, says Yana. She's saying they've got a 3. Monica is saying that there's a 4, which is really good. So,
actually,
in terms of numbers, the numbers are actually quite high, Rob. They're a little bit higher than I was maybe anticipating.
But it's also depending on the audience, to be honest, because whenever you ask the same question to the full population of employees, I think surprisingly the numbers can be quite lower, and that all has to do with the execution power of, I think, the L&D strategy. Already touched it upon in the beginning, having a clear vision and a policy and the tactics and the strategies on that part, but how can we really implement that strategy and have the execution power also compared with the culture really to go into the next change. So that could be interesting also to ask internally. So to what extent do you as employee feel that our organization is already or going towards becoming a real DDO? That would be interesting stuff to also do continuous improvement projects on the HR side.
Take those 5 statements and socialize them in your organization and say, how many of these do you think we do and how many do you think we should be doing? And be really interesting to see what kind of responses you get from your senior leadership and just that socialization. Because once they agree, we need to do this, that gives you, an implicit, implied permission to go and do those things, which I think is a nice way of approaching it. Excellent. Thanks, Rob.
Welcome. Whatever in what stage you are, there are always benefits of going towards the DDO, and these are some numbers on the engagement part, the turnover rates, and the productivity part. Well, a couple of studies to mention. On the increased employee engagement part, study by Deloitte just found out that Organizations which invest in employee development had a 40.9, almost 15% higher level of engagement compared to organizations. And that engagement, again, is necessary to go to the higher level of innovation, embracing change, pick up other stuff besides the core jobs, and also motivate, stimulate other team members. Improved retention. According to a study of Brandon Hall Group, companies with strong development programs have been founded out to reach a 31% lower turnover rate, promoting internal mobility between existing roles within the first 3 years increases the chance by 70% an employee stays at the company. And this directly touches upon one of the major challenges also on the retention part, and not only attracting new talent, but also reskilling and upskilling, and thereby also doing a good job on the retention part. The improved productivity, this is a study of Harvard Business Review. 90% of employees reported that they are more productive when they feel their skills are being developed, directly impacting on the retaining top talent part over there. Out of 12,000 global workers, 40% said the number one reason for quitting in 2022 was due to a lack of career advancement. So I think the numbers are pretty clear on that part. And my advice would be just start. You don't have to insert a full plan at first. Just start, experiment, iterate, and going towards an ongoing continuous improvement on the desired state of the L&D strategy, not only the strategy, but also on the implementing part of the strategy. Maybe good to mention some examples. The first example of what we think is a good example of a company who already have the strategy and implementing part in a good way inserted. Patagonia, the outdoor clothing and gear company, is known for its strong commitment to employee development and well-being. And the company provides its employee with a variety training and development opportunities, including leadership development programs. As a result of this investment, Patagonia has consistently been named one of the best places to work and has a high level of employee satisfaction and engagement. And one key aspect of Patagonia is the approach to its investment in training and the professional development opportunities. Continuously are encouraged to learn new skill, to take on new challenges both within but also outside of their current roles, leading to increased job satisfaction and engagement and among employees, and also stimulating higher levels of innovation and creativity, which is necessary again for innovation within the company. Also on the sustainability part and the social responsibility part, Patagonia is also doing a good job. Its commitment to creating a supportive and inclusive workplace culture, values diversity and collaboration, provides employees with the resources and support they need to succeed both personally and professionally. And overall, Patagonia's success as a DDO serves as a testament to the impact that investing in employees' development can have and has an overall success on employee well-being, overall well-being. So, according to us, this is a great example of how it can be done. Another example is Heineken. I want to mention Heineken. You're all familiar with Heineken, a beautiful Dutch company, by the way. They are also doing already a good job on a couple of things: employee training and development programs, a wide range of different programs for different kind of employees for different kind of roles and functions, technical training, leadership development, cross-functional skill building. And for example, the company's global graduate program provides young talent with the opportunity to develop new skills and gain international experience. Embracing digital transformation. Just told you on the digitalization and also the globalization part. Heineken fully embraced digital transformation by investing in new technologies, digital tools for all the employees just to experiment with and to improve its operations and better serve their customers and also improve their customer financial operational KPIs. Example, the company has implemented to streamline supply chain, a very important part for Heineken, of course, and to improve operational efficiency by also using fully automated solutions. And that's also a company to foster a culture of innovation, as you can imagine. With all the new ideas, new opportunities that people can grasp, there's a high culture of innovation in place. What's worth mentioning, what they also implemented is the unlimited learning part within the company. All employees may just pick, choose, and experience all different kind of trainings made available through different kind of platforms. So there are no, it's kind of democratizing the way we can learn. Everyone has access to a real content marketplace to improve their skills and to gain their knowledge, and it's unlimited learning. So that's worth mentioning also on that part.
Excellent. We are getting some questions through, Rob, so we need to churn through so that we can make sure we pick these questions up at the end as well. But I'm really keen on where we go to with this now. So.
Yeah. I will of course show you. And well, what could be next steps? First of all, you should have a foundation in place as a kind of a basis to implement also your L&D and HR strategy, and that is on an organizational level, but also on an individual level. And what I very much like is I've been a strategy consultant, so I really like a kind of a consulting approach. So you do assessments. You want to have the clear view of the current situation. Where am I now? And from that moment onwards, you want to also formulate or define the desired states. So again, for the individual employees, but also for the larger organization part. And from that moment onwards, you want to try to bridge the gap between the current situation and the desired state of situation by implementing interventions, trainings, different types, a set of trainings to bridge that gap. And of course, what is necessary, the way you can measure those initiatives and activities, and continuously monitor the activities, and therefore a real performance management system and measuring data on the L&D and the HR components should also be in place. So consulting approach as is, desired states, and continuously adapt and improve towards that desired states. And now some examples of tools which are in the market, which are also provided by our organization on the know yourself part, so the as is stage of the individual employee. It all starts with, okay, how can we create a development focused structure by implementing such tools? For example, you can ask your employees, what forms of learning are you looking for? And that's also where the team personalization kicks in, because we all have a certain preferred way of learning. Well, whenever you start an assessment on the as is situation, just ask the employees, what is your preferred way of learning? Just ask. There's kind of a self-assessment. Combine this with what is the current entry level, what is the preferred through the time you want to spend also on learning, because this is also important for the whole organization to find a real good balance, just doing your job and also pick up new training activity. And whenever you have set your as is situation, you know what you prefer and what you're already able to do and which skills or content knowledge you're already possessing. And from that moment onwards, you can have mentor talks and coaching talks within the company, for example, a dedicated mentor or within the team, leadership on where do you want to go to uh, on the content part and also on the skill part. And you can use different scans for that. And by using different abilities, skills, etc., in order to determine the desired states on, for in this case, individual level. And by using those kind of tools, combine it with learning plans and maybe some gamification. This one is worth mentioning. Sometimes people have to learn how to learn how to train, and it often motivates people to insert also a gamification part, and maybe also linking this with some kind of perks within the company in order to motivate them to kickstart the learning part from the exist situation to the desired state. An example, we have some clients that inserted gamification. You could, of course, can earn badges, but if they earned 1,000 badges or 1,000 points, I don't know, they also will receive an extra learning budget or laptop, etc., etc. And that's what I mean with the perks and the incentive part. Um, so from the as is towards aiming for the goals, with the help of coaching and mentorship, you have to provide the employees with a certain platform or environment which they are able to continuously learn and grasp new learning opportunities. Because when they are reaching the desired state, they always have to be motivated again to define a new desired state. And that's where continuous learning also kicks in. But to facilitate this, they also want to know what's more on skill part and on the content knowledge part. So advice would be, please provide them with a clear overview of a deep and a broad content overview of what is even out there or within the company available to develop myself and therefore also the whole organization. Um, and now, specifically, besides the learning plan, what we also see is cross-functional programs. Is also a way to facilitate them to go from job to job opportunities instead of picking only the individual training activities. You could also provide them with full programs. And in this example, it is a leadership program because it's very popular at the moment, independent of industry. But it's also a great way to keep them motivated. Um, and measuring, yes, we all have our KPIs. We all want to know what would be the effect of certain training interventions. So besides having a broad and a deep content marketplace within the organization, you also have certain tooling in place to grasp the data, translate it to real good analyzation tools, and also revert back to the individual employee in order to have a real feedback session on, hey, you did a great job, you were not only following that type of intervention, but you only also scored +3 points in this point, and you are able to move to the next change in, for example, your learning plan or your leadership track or your whole learning journey towards your desired states or new role or function. That's more on the measurement part. And I saw someone also wrote down on the obliged training certification is, of course, an important part for certain industries and certain companies. And it all has to do with the license to operate. Do we have the insights on an individual level, which persons are able to operate within a certain industry, a department, and a team? And are we complying with legislation on the certification part? And please have your dashboards up and running on that part, because it is really your license to operate. And of course, overall, you have to have a culture again, an environment again that fosters the open communication and the feedback loops. For example, you can create social channels to let people be able to share some interesting training. Can be even e-learnings or YouTube videos on certain topics, but you want to stimulate people to share good things on L&D and to the ways to motivate them to get steps further into their own development. And that's also an important part of implementing the L&D strategy and tactics over there. Looking at the time also.
Need to whiz through to get to some of these questions.
Yeah, I thought about it. And of course, this is also where the continuous learning kicks in after all this is being done, evaluate, improve, feedback loops, etc., etc. And that's also based on the consulting approach I certainly love. And that's it on the content part. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for the engagement, at least. What are the questions left for me or
We've
now?
got a load of questions, Rob. You can. There's a scan there where you can scan the QR code and download white papers. What I am going to do, I'm just going to put it into a different mode so that there we go. So people hopefully should be able to see the RTPL articles. On the left-hand side, you've got. I don't know why that says Ron. Sorry, Rob. That should say Rob Baas. I do apologise. I don't know why that says.
No,
Rob.
no worries.
I did a copy and paste as well, so I don't know why that's done that. There we go. You got links to the LSG webinars and also the blogs and other resources, the white papers and so on. So those are all there. You can scroll up and down through those yourselves if you want to have a look at them. But we want to come back to the Q&A because there's some really interesting questions in here that I want to pick up on. I don't know if we can get to all of them now. A great question here is that, you know, young people starting new jobs being poorly onboarded due to remote work. How do we onboard these people? How do we make sure that they're included as part of a DDO, that dedicated development organization?
Yeah, that's an important one, and it's a challenge also within our own organization, and we always want to qualify people, potential new persons on the performance side, but also the most important side, the cultural side. But and therefore it's good to have a clear understanding also the questions you ask during the conversations you have with possible new employees, especially on the culture and the DNA side. What drives them? What's their purpose? Combine this with also mentioning examples and also get in touch with maybe persons after the approval, of course, at organizations which they previously also worked for, also to do a small validation. And of course, you also have more specialist companies who can also do this for you. But it's a challenge related to remote work. Completely agree, but there are some things you can tackle in also the question in the interview tactics, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. Question as well is that relating to the AI piece is as the skills we need to be developed to the employees, how do we link into the kind of skills that people will need to develop in the future? We're talking about the day after tomorrow. So what's the shift in skills that we will need for people to be able to work with AI better? Suggestion here is that it's a move from tech skills to soft skills. Creative, critical thinking, creativity, and people skills, and so on. Do you agree with that? Do you think we need to move to more of those critical core skills, or is it going to be the tech skills that we will still need in the future?
Well, it's maybe not that bold, but I think it's a combination, and it will it's still in the future, right? But what we currently do ourselves is let everybody within the company also follow the AR basic trainings and let them experiment with themselves with AI. And after that, you have a clear understanding what is even possible and directly relating this to what could and how will it impact my own job or possible other job. It is clear that I think at least 30 to 50% of the jobs will change or disappear with the implementation of HR. And if it's real the soft skills or the pure technical skills, I'm a fan of soft skills because one, uh, it's independent of the technological skills, and it really drives people. You can it's the always it's people. It's around people, and if you're able to gain the soft skills around the people side, okay, there's always someone else who can fix the harder skill side within the company. And yeah, don't not certainly if that's the answer you were looking for, but also for me is it's still hard to predict. But it starts with what's out there, experiment to get a clear job and vision on what will not be there in the future anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a load more questions that we're not going to get time to ask. What I would ask is the people who've asked these questions, please feel free to connect with Rob via LinkedIn. Please feel free to ask him the questions directly on LinkedIn. You'd be happy to take those there, wouldn't you, Rob?
Of course.
Absolutely.
And I'm in London next week, so whoever is there next week, I will join in the London Tech Week. Please reach out.
Excellent stuff. Thank you, Rob. That was fascinating. And like I said, in terms of the conversation, son, that we've had plenty of questions and plenty of comments as well. So just thank you for your session. And again, thank you to all our participants. So, these sessions only work when we have good interaction with people. So massive thank you to everybody for your interaction. It's very, very much appreciated. So leaves me just really to say thank you to everybody. We are up for time. Make sure you've got those links and so on. I will close the doors in a moment and just put you all back out into a lobby. Rob, if you just want to hang on a minute for me. But yeah, the feedback coming through. Thank you. Useful, interesting session. Thank you for brilliant presentation. Great session. Thanks for a great session. So the feedback is almost exclusively positive. So you've done a good job, Rob. Well done.
Thanks. Thank you all.
Yeah. No, thank you. And thank you to everybody. We will see you again in another couple of weeks' time, where I'll be hosting some other sessions. But for today,